Welcome back to JVM Internals Crashcasts. I'm your host, Sheila, and today we're diving into an exciting topic, Kotlin, Scala, and Clojure on the JVM. We're joined as always by our JVM expert, Victor. Hey Victor, are you ready to explore these fascinating JVM languages?
Absolutely, Sheila. I'm excited to discuss these powerful languages that run on the Java virtual machine.
Great! Before we dive in, let's remind our listeners that we're in the JVM languages chapter of our JVM expert season. We've covered a lot of ground in performance tuning, and now we're shifting gears to explore different languages that leverage the JVM. To kick things off, I've got a quiz question for our listeners. Which of these JVM languages, Kotlin, Scala, or Clojure, was developed by JetBrains, the company known for creating popular IDE tools?
Oh, that's an intriguing question, Sheila. It's a great way to get our listeners thinking about the origins of these languages. Each of them has an interesting history, and knowing their creators can give us insights into their design philosophies. I'm curious to see if our listeners can guess the correct answer.
Exactly, Victor. Now, before we dive into the specifics of each language, could you give us a brief overview of what JVM languages are and why they're important?
Certainly, JVM languages are programming languages that are designed to run on the Java virtual machine. They compile to Java bytecode, which allows them to take advantage of the JVM's features like garbage collection, cross-platform compatibility, and extensive libraries. These languages often aim to address some of Java's limitations or provide different programming paradigms while still leveraging the mature JVM ecosystem. This makes them particularly interesting for developers who want to use alternative languages but still benefit from the JVM's robustness and performance.
That's a great introduction, Victor. So, let's start with Kotlin. Can you tell us a bit about its history and main features?
Absolutely. Kotlin was developed by JetBrains in 2011 and has gained significant popularity, especially after Google announced it as an official language for Android development in 2017. Kotlin is designed to be fully interoperable with Java, which means you can call Java code from Kotlin and vice versa. It introduces many modern features like null safety, extension functions, and coroutines for asynchronous programming. Kotlin is often described as a more concise and expressive version of Java.
That's fascinating. So, if Kotlin is like a more modern Java, how would you describe Scala in comparison?
Great question. Scala, which stands for Scalable Language, was created by Martin Odersky and first released in 2004. It's designed to be both object-oriented and functional, giving developers the flexibility to choose the best approach for their needs. Scala has a more complex type system compared to Kotlin and Java, which allows for very powerful abstractions. It's known for its scalability in large systems and is popular in big data processing with frameworks like Apache Spark. However, Scala has a steeper learning curve compared to Kotlin.
Interesting. It sounds like Scala might be more suited for certain types of projects. Now, what about Clojure? How does it fit into this picture?
Clojure is quite different from both Kotlin and Scala. Created by Rich Hickey in 2007, Clojure is a dialect of Lisp that runs on the JVM. It's a functional programming language that emphasizes immutability and concurrent programming. Clojure has a unique syntax compared to Java-like languages, using parentheses and prefix notation. It's particularly well suited for data processing tasks and building robust concurrent systems. While it has a smaller community compared to Kotlin and Scala, it's beloved by many for its simplicity and power in handling complex data-centric problems.
Wow, it's amazing how these three languages can all run on the JVM, yet have such different approaches. Victor, could you explain how these languages are able to work with the JVM? Do they require any special considerations?
Absolutely, Sheila. All three languages, Kotlin, Scala, and Clojure, compile down to Java bytecode, which is what allows them to run on the JVM. However, each language has its own compiler and runtime libraries that handle the translation process. Kotlin, being designed for full Java interoperability, has the most straightforward compilation process. Its compiler produces bytecode that's very similar to what you'd get from Java code. Scala has its own compiler that produces bytecode, but it also includes a sizable runtime library to support its more advanced features like traits and lazy evaluation. Clojure, being a Lisp dialect, has a more complex compilation process. It includes a runtime that provides core Clojure functions and handles dynamic aspects of the language. When you compile Clojure code, you're also bundling this runtime with your application.
That's really interesting. It sounds like there might be some performance implications here. How do these languages compare in terms of performance on the JVM?
You're right to bring that up, Sheila. Performance can indeed vary between these languages, but it's important to note that in many cases the differences are negligible for typical applications. Kotlin, being very similar to Java in its compiled form, generally has performance that's on par with Java. In some cases it might even be slightly faster due to some of its language features. Scala can be as fast as Java for many operations, but its more advanced features like lazy evaluation and higher-order functions can introduce some overhead. However, Scala's powerful abstractions can lead to more efficient algorithms in complex scenarios. Clojure, due to its dynamic nature and runtime, can have more overhead compared to Java, especially for small, short-lived programs. However, Clojure's emphasis on immutability and its excellent support for concurrency can lead to better performance in certain scenarios, particularly in highly parallel or data processing tasks. It's worth mentioning that all of these languages can benefit from JVM optimizations like JIT compilation, which can significantly improve performance over time.
Thank you for that comprehensive explanation, Victor. Now, I'm curious about real-world applications. Can you give us some examples of where each of these languages might be particularly well-suited?
Certainly. Each of these languages has found its niche in the software development world. Kotlin has become incredibly popular for Android development, thanks to its official support from Google. It's also widely used for server-side development, particularly with frameworks like Spring Boot. Its null safety features and concise syntax make it great for general-purpose programming. Scala is often used in big data processing and distributed computing. As I mentioned earlier, it's the language behind Apache Spark. It's also popular in financial institutions for its ability to handle complex algorithms and large-scale data processing. Clojure, with its emphasis on functional programming and immutability, is often used in areas where data transformation is key. It's popular in financial analysis, machine learning, and building robust back-end services. Companies like Walmart have used Clojure to handle high-volume data processing.
Wow, it's amazing to see how these languages have found their place in the industry. Before we wrap up, do you have any advice for developers who are considering adopting one of these languages?
That's a great question to end on, Sheila. My advice would be to consider your team's background, your project requirements, and your long-term goals. If you're coming from a Java background and want a smooth transition to a more modern language, Kotlin might be your best bet. It's relatively easy to learn and offers immediate productivity gains. If you're working on complex, large-scale systems, especially in areas like big data or machine learning, Scala could be a powerful tool. Just be prepared for a steeper learning curve. And if you're interested in functional programming and are working on data-centric or highly concurrent systems, Clojure could be an excellent choice. Its different paradigm can lead to very elegant solutions for certain problems. Remember, it's not just about the language features, but also about the ecosystem, community support, and available libraries. Take some time to explore each language and see which one resonates with your team and project needs.
Thank you, Victor. That's excellent advice. Now, let's reveal the answer to our quiz question. The JVM language developed by JetBrains is Kotlin. To wrap up, we've explored 3 powerful JVM languages today. Kotlin, a modern and concise alternative to Java. Scala, a scalable language that blends object-oriented and functional programming. And Clojure, a Lisp dialect that emphasizes immutability and concurrency. Each of these languages compiles to Java bytecode, allowing them to leverage the power of the JVM while offering unique features and paradigms. In our next episode, we'll be moving on to a new chapter, JVM Security. We'll be diving into the Security Manager and policies. Don't miss it. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to JVM Internals Crashcasts and leave us a rating. Your support helps us continue to produce high-quality content. Until next time, happy coding.